Hi teachers, this video is going to walk you through the simple part of the read and write extension. I absolutely love this extension because it opened up a world for my students, readers or not readers, to access text online. Even my higher students loved using this tool because sometimes it was great to also hear the text that they were seeing online. I also found that this was a phenomenal tool for reviewing writing. Oftentimes, we know how many times we've asked our students, hey, have you read your writing? And they tell us yes. And then we start to read through their writing. Did you really read this? Because it doesn't sound like you did. So I used this extension when I was working with students to actually have it read their writing aloud. Now, it is a computerized voice, but I actually think it does a pretty good job of being fairly fluent in the way it reads. I'm going to show you a few options that you can change depending on your grade level or student level to adjust the reading level and how it reads for students. If you are a teacher of kindergarten, first, or second graders, I have successfully had first and second grade students navigate through setting up the options for how fast they want things to read, and they were able to follow those directions. However, if you're a kindergarten teacher, I think that this can still be an awesome tool that kindergarten students should learn how to use, because once it's set up, it's really easy. But the setup might be something that you need to do as a teacher. So think about that as you're watching this video. If you're a kindergarten teacher, I'm going to walk you through each step that you need to do, and we'll go from there. Okay, so first we're going to talk about getting the extension. Now, I am going to force install this extension on all student accounts this year. Please note that teachers can get the premium version of the extension. So when I load the extension, you're going to see the premium version because that's what I have. And then if you have students in your room that would benefit from those premium tools, we can get them access. Those students, though, do need to be on an IEP 504, ELL, or some other type of special circumstances in which that extension is needed, because we only have a bank of so many licenses for those extensions. So this here is the extension, and I just got it from the Chrome Web Store. So if you're a teacher doing this right now, and doing this training, if you go to the Chrome Web Store, I just Googled Chrome Web Store, you'll automatically see on the Chrome Web Store, you'll find the fornolmsted.org, and over here on the right, you will find Read and Write. So you can go ahead and click on Read and Write. It is the purple puzzle piece. That's how I usually refer to it with kids, and click Add to Chrome. Now, the first time you do any extension adding to Chrome, you have all those wonderful permissions that you have to go through of, do you want to let this access your Google account? Yes, you need to go through those. It is okay to allow them. I find that maybe the most frustrating part of the setup with students. So when they get the extension and it loads up here, sometimes it takes a moment for it to kick in, but I have students end up clicking on the extension. Sometimes I have them go to a different web page, click on that extension, and you notice my toolbar pops up. But if their toolbar doesn't pop up, here's where I need to just choose my account, allow. Apparently I haven't used this in a while. So if you're using it all the time, they won't have to allow it all the time. Now, the very first thing I want to show you on the extension is the options section. And you can use this extension on web pages, but you can also use it within Google Apps. So notice how the toolbar loads within the Google app. There will be a few other tools that pop up or disappear depending on which type of thing you are in. And we're going to click the three dots at the end of the toolbar and select options. Now here is a voice. There are a bunch of different voices, but it doesn't mean that it can read in all these different languages. I have students keep the US voice unless if I'm using this with an ELL student. So there are a couple of different US options. I happen to like Ava the most, but you also have Samantha and Tom and Allison. I do not have students use the UK. I know it sounds really cool, but I find that it actually creates a little bit of frustration because it doesn't pronounce words quite the same sometimes, or it's not reading in the way that students here in the US are hearing language and vocabulary. This is the part that you want to work on with students. So there is a speed. It should start somewhere about 50, but you can take it down pretty low. I will say at the younger grades, I tended to have it around 13. Sounds really slow, but they were able to understand it. At the upper grades, if you have a very fast reader, obviously they might want to go over that. I tended to like 50. It sounded the most natural to me. Reading. This is the other option that you'll want to look at for your students. So I prefer mine on continuous reading, so it goes from one sentence to the next. Speak on each word kind of, in my mind, defeats the purpose of a read aloud, but it is a feature that's available. I'm getting tongue-tied. And then there's speak on each sentence. Speak on each sentence may be very valuable for students who are struggling with reading. It also draws their attention to one sentence at a time, which I really like. But I'm going to go ahead and leave continuous reading on. I'm going to ignore all of these other things because these are all related to premium features. And this tutorial and why we are introducing this tool to all students is all students are going to get a play button, pause button, and stop button. And you'll end up noticing that all of the other features on the toolbar, once that initial premium version ends, they all get grayed out. So students can't do anything with the other features on the toolbar. Now, I will say TextHelp has put tons and tons of research and effort in developing these. So there are some other great options within this toolbar, even for just a teacher to use. But I want to show you how easy it is. Students simply have their document open and they hit play.
So how do you envision your classroom looking next year? To clarify, I am not talking about the physical space, number of students, organization of day, or all of the other things we can't control at the moment. Instead, I want you to think about after all of your new...
Okay, so I have the pause button, and pause is when you want to pause that reader, but then you want them to be able to pick back up in that same place. Stop would officially stop, and then you would have to restart from the play, and it would probably restart from the beginning or wherever you highlighted the text. So that's the other important thing to note, is this will start reading in a document, and it'll usually start reading where your cursor is, but in a web page it will start reading at the very top. So I'm going to switch over to a web page now, and I'm going to hit the play button. Let's see if I can get it to play. Every once in a while I have a funky issue. Probably the web page I'm on.
What is biology? Biology is the...
Okay, so that time I needed to highlight the text. This is a skill that I have taught first graders how to do, is we just highlight what we want it to read aloud and hit the play button, and then it starts reading aloud. It will keep reading aloud after that, but it starts where you highlight. So highlighting is just a simple click and drag. They don't need to highlight the whole paragraph, only really the first sentence.
What is biology? Biology is the branch of science that studies life.
You'll notice that there's actually some inflections in the voice that reads aloud as well. So I love this because it makes that text online accessible for all students. And it helps even our strongest readers who maybe have better listening comprehension to have that option as well. Or sometimes we just want to read with our ears as well and not just with our eyes. The highlighting of the sentence is a great way to think about text structure and flow and how a paragraph goes together. I love that it drew the attention to the sentence. My younger students really picked up on this, and it helped them to begin to see how sentences were combined in order to make a paragraph. So there were other little teaching moments that I could have with this tool, but we want all students to be exposed to this tool and have the opportunity to turn on that puzzle piece, have something read aloud to them at any time. The one feature that I do have to caution you on is if you are on a text that is not accessible. So a text maybe like a PDF where you can't highlight the words in the PDF, this reader will probably not work. So I do find it works very, very well on a regular web page, which has HTML in the background, but this does not work on a non-accessible text unless if you have some of the other features in the premium version. So just keep that in mind as you might be using this with students, but think about how you could even just start with using this within Google Docs. Either as a kindergarten teacher, you could put a story of your own in a Google Doc and have the students click the purple puzzle piece, click the play button, and it will read that aloud to them.